Aloha and welcome to Remote Promote. Thank you for joining us today. For those of you joining for the first time, Remote Promote is a project that was created with the intention of celebrating business owners and entrepreneurs with the online communities, and that the online communities would be surprised and delighted with the talents and treasures that they find here. And today it is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you Dr. Aaron Levy. Welcome, Aaron, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. For those of you who have not yet met Aaron, Aaron is the founder and CEO of Emerging Transformational Ventures, and M&A business development and strategic firms based in Los Angeles. A transformational and highly diversified career CEO, electrical and aerospace engineer, inventor, professional airline pilot, and published author with global operational experience. Aaron started his career as a design engineer and rapidly rose to lead as COO, president, CEO, and director in several privately held and publicly traded companies in a wide range of industries, from startups to multi-million-dollar global firms. He designed, developed, and marketed several innovative hardware and software products, built and trained international sales and marketing teams, managed R&D, manufacturing facilities, HR, finance, public and investors relations, led economic development, interfaced with boards, and led organizational and cultural restructuring. And ETV Global, Inc., Dr. Levy developed a universal financial model tool for scenario-based planning as a foundation for CEOs and entrepreneurs at any level of financial literacy to lead growth through human and financial performance to achieve sustainable, meaningful, and profitable growth in any industry. Dr. Levy holds a PhD in management with focus on leadership and organizational change, a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, a Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering, and FAA certifications as an airline pilot and flight instructor. Also a patent holder for a digital memory manufacturing process, Dr. Levy authored Factors Influencing CEOs and Digital Printing. My goodness, Aaron, that is quite the resume.
Thank you.
Super impressive. Okay, so I'm going to just jump in and start asking you some questions about what it is that you actually do, which sounds like many things. I know you wanted to focus on a few things today. Well, first question is, what are you observing today in the market with entrepreneurs?
Well, I would say thank you, first of all. Again, good morning. I appreciate the introduction. I would say in the last 10 years, something has not changed with regard to entrepreneurs. And there are three elements that keep repeating itself, and I witness that over and over again. It has to do with three factors: selling and sales in general, and I'll describe, kind of get in detail. The second is financial literacy, and the third is unexpected and unrealistic expectations. So on the sales side, a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to, and if I lecture in front of entrepreneurs and I ask how many people here love selling, out of maybe 200, maybe 10 people will raise their hand and say, we love selling. And if they don't love selling, or they do love selling, how many people really know, entrepreneurs know how to sell, which is the whole process. And if they know, feel they know how to sell, or they love the selling, do they know how to close? Do they know how to propose before they close, and what kind of proposal system they use? So the whole structure around selling is the key parameters. There is a fallacy, a perception that we create a product and we'll hire salespeople to do the job of selling. Well, as a CEO, entrepreneur, leader of your company, you're the main salesperson. And if you don't have that, you're running at a very high risk of not succeeding and failing in executing on sales and growing revenue. The second really important element is the financial literacy, which is kind of shocking. And I'll read some statistics from actually, 7 years ago, and it's still the same thing. For example, according to Bloomberg, 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs who start business fail within the first 18 months. A whooping 80% crash and burn, according to Eric Wagner in 2013. And there is an inability to nail a profitable business model with proven revenue stream. In another study, and according to Forbes magazine, again, the same year, which nothing has changed till today, why entrepreneur can't just hire a finance guy, right? You can just hire a controller, a finance guy, CPA. At every stage in a life of your business, you will need to ask specific financial questions and reach for the right financial tool and the right data to answer them. You can farm that out because that's the very essence of being an entrepreneur. Only you can make the tough choice, standing between sales and operations that will enable your initial great idea to thrive. So that's the second thing that is really important. A lot of entrepreneurs think they can just hire someone. So what's really shocking is I do have some entrepreneurs with experience education, and when I go through the basic questions about what's in a financial statement or what's the outline of financial statement, there's a lot of financial, I would say, illiteracy about it, understanding how to really work in that. In addition to that, in addition to just reporting a financial statement, how do you go about creating a model that has the right ratios for the right industry so that you end up with some profit at the end and attract a good solution there. So that's the second parameter that is key. And the third is unrealistic expectations. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they have this great idea and they propose, they present, they like to raise money or try to execute on that. And you just do a really quick Google search and the product is already existing in the market and already selling, and you're trying to enter something, not really realizing that it's already there. And if they do have it and they create this amazing product, they spend a year or two in developing the product and maybe spend $100,000, $200,000 and more in the product development, the expectation of the value is by the work they put in rather than what the market needs out there. So they go out with expectation, oh, this is like a $10 million value, $25 million value, and there is no revenue and no sales coming in. And if there is sales, it takes quite a lot, 10 million, 25 million. So that's an unrealistic expectation, which causes a lot of people to lose their motivation. Now, if you do a Google search about what it takes to be a good entrepreneur, you hear motivation, self-starting, creative, all of these elements, and the missing elements that I'm talking about, sales, financial literacy, and realistic expectations are just not mentioned. Most of the Google search that you'll do out there. So I think that's the main problem that I see over and over again in asking people, for example, in lectures to entrepreneurs, how many of you like accounting and finance? It's the same number. So sales, finance, and unrealistic expectations.
Wow, that's a lot right there. That's really great. And this is the training that you do around these three topics, yes?
Yeah, so what we've done, we work with businesses, we have our own products, of course, but we work with businesses. When we work with businesses, entrepreneurs and owners. So when we work with businesses that are established already, they have some of those elements already in place. So most of our work is organizational change, organizational culture, maybe some strategies and so forth. But when we work with entrepreneurs, we try to put more effort into what I just discussed here. And the idea is that you don't get engaged with entrepreneurs who just expect you to do the work for them because it misses the whole objective here. You have to train them to run their business on their own. So we train them to sell better. And if they're not good naturally salespeople, then we give them the tools how to sell and propose and close. So I go by, you can change a person, but give them the tools. Same thing with finance, literacy. If they don't have it, don't just expect us to do it. We will give you the framework, a model to plug in your numbers so you know how to run your business. And then expectations, of course, we talked about what's real, what's not. And in some of our training, we have a mini MBA coming up. We do that on a regular basis a few times a year, an accelerated version. But so we start by saying, what do you think it takes to be an entrepreneur? So, you start making a list. It takes about an hour to go to the board when we do it on the board and in class face-to-face. And it's tens and tens of items from, I can go through the list, but it's not just those three that I mentioned. There's so many intricate areas that a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize. To run a business, it's a very holistic and a lot of components to really be successful in your business. So what we do is we provide the framework and the platform for entrepreneurs to use as a guideline to success, rather than, okay, I'm going to hire someone to do a website. Great. I'm not asking you to design a website or be good at designing a website. Will be great, because every time you need to make a change, you need to hire someone, or ask someone to change it for you. But no, don't go and do a website yourself, but definitely understand how to sell, be passionate about it, and if you can't, use this tool that we provide you. And financial model, don't expect someone to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And that's a tool. We provide the framework to do that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, there's so many things that you could be focusing on. Why are you inspired to solve this problem for entrepreneurs?
Well, there is a need in the market. That's one. Second is that throughout my career, I transitioned from being an engineer, creator, designer to chief executive of smaller, medium, and large corporations. So I had to make the transition. I had to teach myself to do it myself rather than rely on others. So for example, selling was not natural for me. Some people say it looks natural today, but it wasn't. I wanted to design, I wanted to fly airplanes. So it was more like a solitary type of work, which I enjoyed. I like physics, I like engineering, I like to go build projects, and that's fun. But when I tried to get the product out there, when we had very good product that I think could be really amazing, well, we had to get it out there and sell. And when the product didn't work, I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? And I realized that a lot of it had to do with how you sell the product, how you present it, how do you make it work. So I kind of transitioned into selling. And what I realized, it's not just training yourself to sell, is you train yourself to really enjoy meeting people and sharing your passion. One of my entrepreneurs that worked with me a while ago said that, I had struggled through the concept of selling. There is some kind of like historical feeling about what does it mean to be a salesperson. But the only way that they overcome that is by saying, well, I'll just share my passion. And that's what part of the selling. So I became a little more passionate about lending that experience to entrepreneurs, especially on the financial modeling. As an engineer, not coming from finance background, how do I become president, chief operating officer, CEO of private and public companies without understanding finance? So I had to kind of create my own model. So I used an Excel spreadsheet and start putting formulas in there. Even though I had financial reports that the controller or the CFO would provide, I still needed to understand the intricate of how they're all related and what factors influence performance. So I created a software called Revenue Tool, which is a very, very basic framework for entrepreneurs to force themselves to simulate growth scenarios that will stimulate them to grow their business. So I became a little more passionate about this, and there was a demand. People would ask me, can you help with this? And then I said, well, I can give you the tools and the framework that helped me. And that's where the engagement is. And with the unrealistic expectation is what entrepreneurs expect, that if they have some money, they can just pay for what I described and it will be done for them. And that's the biggest mistake. It will just not happen if they don't take a lead on that. And that's what Forbes discussed, and Bloomberg. It's still consistent, it's still the same problem. For example, another thing, with MBA programs, there is a lot of training on finance that's very good, and organizational structure, and there's a very good agenda if you look at that. And they talk about marketing and branding, but training, real life, role play, sales training is only when you get out and try to do it yourself. So sales training is constantly, if you look at how many books are out there for sales training, seminars, workshop, it's in demand, it's out there. So I'm passionate to see the results of some of our entrepreneurs that we work with.
Well, I really am enjoying your work, actually, and participating in your workshops. And there's so much out there about sales and helping entrepreneurs. What would you say that sets you apart in the industry that you're currently in?
I think simplifying, like Henry David Thoreau says, simplify, simplify, simplify. That's the best way to approach it. Is if you can take a financial statement, an accounting concept, and simplify it so that anyone can just grasp it if they want to be entrepreneurs, for example, then that sets apart. I'm not teaching a financial accounting package. I'm teaching more about the framework that you could use as a tool. So simplify the process of planning, financial planning. So that's the key. And I get called sometimes in the middle of the night, oh my God, I got it, what you're trying to explain on that. So that's caused me a lot of pleasure on that. Some entrepreneurs caught on to it very quickly and they just do it, they perform. Some have some resistance, and that goes to a lot of like expecting that this will be done for them rather than do it themselves. So the financial modeling is definitely sets apart. It's the simplicity of it. And I do have developers that say, oh, we should add this feature and that feature and make it more like, so no, that will miss the whole point, because I want the entrepreneurs to see what they're doing and what result comes out of it. So some of it is automated process to show if you do this, the revenue will be this way. And if you sell this product at this price and it costs you this much, that's your gross profit, but that's what's left for your operational costs. And if you have more, you can end up with profit. If you have less, you can end up negative. So that simple process expressed in a framework is what works. The other thing is sales training. So I have what I call the 10 steps of an effective selling and closing cycle. And I go through the whole process, because selling doesn't just start and end at the closing part of it, or presentation and closing. There's a whole 10 steps associated with that, from the market research, selecting the segment of the market, targeting, prospecting, presenting, asking, which is really proposing, and closing, and then collecting, and delivery on time with expectation with the client, and of course following up and repeat the process. So there's a lot of jump in the process, and that's where sales is missed, the sales process being missed. So we teach that and go through role playing and have the format. Of course, it's all downloaded from the website.
Wow, so lots of tools on the job. It sounds very experiential, and so people can understand how it actually works in real space and time.
Right, yeah.
A couple more questions. What would you offer as successful tips for business owners and entrepreneurs? Maybe your top 2 tips.
Well, I'll repeat again. I mean, selling, learn to sell better, get passionate about it. Read a lot of books out there, a lot of videos on YouTube and other formats online that you can get trained, and take time on it. Practice with your friends and colleagues on selling and closing. And honestly, we supplement our program with weekly free training. So you can come and attend, and we have a repeated program where the first week of the month, we do how to sell and close in the virtual world, because we're adapted now to the virtual world. Second week of the month is about how to propose and proposals. Third week of the month is about pitch deck and presentation, either to customers or investors. And the fourth, which is obviously part of the whole thing, is financial modeling for entrepreneurs. And it's all offered for free. It's a 1 hour on Thursday at noontime, Pacific time. And then we have, every so often, we have a mini accelerated deluxe mini MBA, which is a 2-day crash course of everything that you need to know from a practical perspective, how to run a company as an entrepreneur. And we give the software for free and all the templates and that we have provided. So, and that's what we offer. So come join us for the free training. And if you want to be part of our system, you can become a partner with this. And definitely the Media MBA is been a flagship program for us for over 8 years. We have done this program for entrepreneurs. We've done financial modeling and strategies for professional women. There was something that we've done many years ago and run it for a few years for just professional women, which is very kind of a little bit different. And then and a lot of different programs. I need to work really well. So but the flagship is the 2-day mini MBA.
That's super great. And we'll put the information in the chat section so people will know how to find you and find your programs online. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, for being here with us today. We're so delighted to have you. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we complete?
Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you again. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you doing this. I think what you're doing with Remote to Promote, helping entrepreneurs is fantastic. And I hope that a lot of entrepreneurs take advantage of this and get the message across. And thank you for doing it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And like Aaron said, if you're interested in participating, we would love to hear from you. Or if you might know somebody that would be interested, we would also love to hear from you. And until next time, aloha.